Hey everyone, in today's video, I want to discuss the investability of Scarlet Violet Era based off of the current market conditions as of February of 2026. Some factors that will help me determine um, kind of really where it falls on this tier list will be a number of factors such as its current print status, items that are marked here within uh, this view with OOP indicates that it is out of print. And then some of the other items here, the italicized ones, are kind of a predicted date based off of what we know with Pokemon Center and how there is a 2.5 year window of print. Additionally, we'll be taking a look kind of at the total set values of the sets to determine whether it's a good value or not. And then also the top sealed product of that specific um, set. So items that are listed within green here indicate booster boxes, and then items listed within blue. These are the special sets. Since they don't have booster boxes, then I am taking a look at their PCETB prices. And then some other things I wanted to call out, such as Journey Together having a enhanced and non-enhanced booster box. Um, on several examples here, there will be two different prices listed just because there are multiple products within that specific class category. And then additionally, a few other items that I'd probably be discussing here or factoring into my decision making would be the liquidity of it, of the specific item that you may be purchasing, such as booster boxes or PCETBs, as well as just the overall sentiment of how I feel about this product relative to the remainder or the rest of the products within the Scarlet and Violet era. But to kick things off, I wanted to discuss Scarlet and Violet base. Scarlet and Violet base is a pretty strong base set. It has this awesome Gardevoir, Corellia, and Ralts connecting art, and then it has this Drowsy that was pumped in the middle of last year. But besides that, I do not think that I have a lot of strong confidence within base set at least. Even though it's really, really strong, there's a lot of great art here. Taking a look at the total set value of 571.58 and the booster box price of 268.07, I do think that Scarlet and Violet base kind of just gets lost within the greater mix of the Scarlet Violet era. And I don't think that the 268.07 relative to the total set value really provides a lot of growth down at the end of the day. Obviously, uh, all sealed products do grow up and go up in time, and you will always find a positive ROI in one way, shape, or another. But based off of the current conditions as of February of 2026, I think that I would feel more confident leaving it within the C tier. The next one on the list is Paldea Evolved. This obviously is led by the pack by this Magikarp, the Shinji Magikarp, that also has a very, very small gem rate. I know it's hard to not only pull, but to also get into PSA 10. And this total set value for Paldea Evolve, including it pretty much being of out of print, 1,200, short of $1,300 total set value, and a booster box price of $416 for possibility of getting this Magikarp, this awesome Raichu and Tyranitar, this Mousehole, Iono, everyone's favorite, and then just a lot of other great art here within this set. I do have a lot of confidence here for Paldea Evolve, and if possible, it's something that I want to pick up here within the next few weeks or months. Maybe a box or two, or at least just for the personal collection. I do think Paldea Evolve at this time will grow pretty favorably by the end of the year. I think it would not surprise me by the end of the year if the booster box price hit $600. So I do think that there is some opportunity here for you to probably park some money. Um, if you find an opportunity that's a fairly competitive price. So I think I'll probably leave it here within the A tier. And then also, I think over the course of this video, if there are things that I decide to move around, I may do so if I realize that Paldea may jump down to the B tier or it should go up to the S tier. Next on the list is Obsidian Flames. With a small total set value of 369.75 and a booster box price of 287.90, and then also being out of print. I know that Obsidian Flames gets a lot of flack for how weak the set is, and a lot of people here don't really care for this Charizard. But I personally love Obsidian Flame so much. I think that if anyone is new to the hobby and really wants to master set it, I think Obsidian Flames is a really, really great set to do so if you're able to find product at all. Um, I know that the Charizard got pumped towards the tail end of summer last year, and uh, I know, but I just know that there's just not a lot of favorable opinions as to Obsidian Flames in general. Um, and it being more expensive than base set, Scarlet and Violet base set, while also providing a lower overall total set value. I don't personally have a lot of confidence, nor would I be really willing to park a lot of money here within this set. I do think that if you're able to get something that's stupidly cheap, obviously it wouldn't hurt to put some money into there. But I personally think that at this time, across Paldea Involved and Scarlet Violet base, this probably falls maybe even to the bottom of the list. D tier, I just don't think that this is probably a very good decision right now to be putting some money into. Just given really the booster box price relative to the total set value, I can't imagine folks down the line will be buying this box for the sake of ripping, even ripping shippers. I just think that there's probably just better products with better margins at the end of the day. Violet base, everyone's poster child for the Scarlet Violet era. This right here, I personally have a lot of um, positive opinions for. I think that this is essentially base set V2. There is everyone's favorite top three starters, the Charizard, the Blastoise, the Venusaur. And then also some of the general arts here are just really, really great for what they are. This Charmander is awesome. The Zapdos. I think you have to scroll really far down this page before you start finding some duds. But I personally don't think that there's really that many at all. I think of all the full arts and IRs, most of them, if not all of them, are just so incredibly beautiful. This Caterpie is awesome. This Nidoking and Machoke is awesome. This Poliwhirl is probably one of my favorite set cards of all of Scarlet Violet. And just the nostalgia factor for everything here. I know that over the last several weeks, there's been a lot of accumulation for 151, and it kind of reflects within the booster bundle prices. 117.52. That's an absurd price for a booster bundle for something that is quote unquote still within print. But I think as we get closer to the end of Q1 and the beginning of Q2, and 151 really goes out of print, I just really, really think that um, the price for 151 will skyrocket. I do think that the PCETBs are really competitively outpriced right now. I certainly wouldn't be spending close to $900 on a PCETB, as well as the ETB in general. $431 is an absurd price for it. But I think that if you are able to find good booster bundles for maybe $100 plus minus $110, I do have confidence that by the end of the year, the booster bundles may rise to 150, 160, 170. And I do think that this will just be a fairly liquid product in general, just because of the nostalgia factor. This is 151 at the end of the day. This is the bread and butter of kind of a lot of people's childhood. So I think at this time, I will probably be listing 151 towards the top. It's the king, in my opinion, with so much going on for it. Next on the line is Paradox Rift. Um, I think that Paradox Rift is such an undervalued and underrated set within all of Scarlet Violet. This Groudon is awesome. This Altaria, awesome. Roaring Moon, awesome. Plusle and Minun is awesome as well. And this Steelix, pretty cool. I think the Steelix is probably one of my favorite Steelix's card of all of Pokemon. And I also think this Groudon in general is very undervalued. And I think you can kind of see that based off of how the current market kind of sees it. It has a fair total set value with a very competitive booster box price. And I think if you were to kind of put stock within Paradox Rift, it wouldn't hurt to maybe take a look at booster box prices and getting a booster box or two, especially considering that it's going to be going out of print here within the next several months. And I can kind of see this booster box price definitely hitting 300 around the time it goes out of print. And it wouldn't surprise me if the price grows only from there towards the tail end of the year, where it may hit 350. It wouldn't surprise me if it hit $400. I just think that Paradox Rift is a very underappreciated set. And I do believe that it will go up in price down the road. I certainly don't think that it's the best set of the area, and would rather put my money in many of other places. But for $257, I do think that it is such a competitive price that it's just super underrated. So for that, I'll probably put it within the B tier for now. Paldean Fates. Paldean Fates. So hot take here. I personally think that the Mew is the best card of all of Scarlet Violet. Um, I know that there's the Sunbreon, but I just think there's something about the Mew that's just super cool. Alongside that, it has some really heavy chases alongside the Charizard, the Gardevoir, and then also there's so many shinies here within the set that I think there's really a lot for everything here, for everyone here. It certainly reflects within the total set value of short of $1,600, and it is going out of print here within the next several months, within at least Q1 or Q2 of this year. And the PCETB is at 393.84, and I do think that that is an incredibly valuable or competitive price for what you're getting here. Paldean Fates is certainly one of the best sets of the Scarlet Violet era, and that's certainly not a surprise to anyone here. But the PCETB relative to at least the ETB price of just short being $300, I do think that that tiny delta between the two, I'd be open to investing some money into the PCTP if a few came my way. And at least for the bundles, I would not be surprised if the bundles hit $150 plus by the end of the year. I know that there are great Tusk box out there, and I think those may be a better opportunity if you want to really invest in Paldean Fates. But you got to deal with the space considerations, but also the liquidity of it, just because I know that bundles have a lot more of a collector's appeal than maybe a great Tusk box. But I just think in general, Paldean Fates is a pretty good uh, investing opportunity here. Maybe not the best. I do think that there are just a few more sets ahead of it, but I would probably list it somewhere within maybe the high A tier for now. I may move that down the line. Temporal forces. I don't have much to say here for temporal forces. I do think that there is some value here, especially for what the booster box price is of $270. But I'm just not a fan of temporal forces. I don't think that there is a lot here for many folks. Raging Bow, Iron Crown, Gouging Fire, Walking Wake, Iron Leaves. I know that those are um, really cool cards, but I personally think that within the greater scheme of all of Scarlet Violet, I just don't think that Tempora Force is something that 5 plus 5, 10 years down the line will be the most wise place to park your money into, just because I do think that there's just so many other sets that um, provide better opportunity for greater ROI. But given the current total set value and the current prices for booster boxes, if you were able to find a few boxes for such a crazy price, I do think that it is maybe worth putting some money into. Certainly more than Scarlet Violet base set or Obsidian Flame. So at this time, I'd probably put Temporal Forces at the top of C tier. I think one comment to make, I know I mentioned at the beginning, but I do think that given everything does generally have a positive ROI, no matter what, it sealed both Pokemon products is a deflationary asset. You will always see growth there. I do think that it's hard for anything to fall below D tier, but I certainly just do think that we could be more strategic with where we put our money. Twilight Masquerade. Today was the official day that they announced that there's going to be a Mega Greninja set here within the upcoming, within the current Mega Block. The uh, and I do think that there may be some buzz here with this Greninja because of the current news of Chaos Rising. I think that's the set name for the Mega Greninja set. And I personally don't have super strong opinions about this Greninja. I think it's a little hard to kind of see what's going on there, but Greninja is such a fan favorite, especially for maybe some of the younger folk generations who kind of grew up playing that game and has had Greninja as their starter. I do think that there is probably some growth here down the line. I certainly don't hate this card. I just think that there's so much going on here that it's hard to kind of discern what's really where the art stops and ends. But I just know that it is a popular Pokemon, and it wouldn't hurt to put some value into that. And then there's also the parent connecting art with Growlithe. And then there's also this Eevee here, the Ursula, the Chansey, which I really, really love. Um, so I do think that there is probably some value here for Twilight Masquerade, especially given the total sub value of 959, and then the booster box price of $315. Understanding also that it will be going out of print somewhere within this next year. Um, by the end of the year, definitely for sure. I do think that the Twilight Masquerade isn't the worst place to park some money. There was a recent wave actually where a bunch of ETBs were maybe reprinted, maybe not reprinted, maybe just restocked. And I do know that there's a lot of ETBs really just kind of floating around the market. I've definitely see a bunch on in my area on Facebook Marketplace for 60-ish dollars, maybe even a little less. That I do think that if you kind of wanted to accumulate a bunch, if you're a really big believer in Twilight Masquerade, this would be the perfect time for it before these prices rise even more. I think the second that this set goes out of print, we can kind of see some ETBs maybe heading up to the $100, $110 range. Same thing to be said about the booster box price. I think $315 is a competitive price for one of the better chases for all of Scarlet Violet. With a total set value of 959, I do think that Twilight Masquerade wouldn't be a terrible place to be parking your money at all. So with that being said, I'd probably put that maybe towards the top of B tier, maybe towards the bottom of A tier. Actually, I'll probably put it towards the bottom of A tier, just understanding that the ETB prices are just so competitive right now. I know that it was printed a lot, and there's just so much on the market, but I do think that in 3, 4, 5+ years time, you'll be making your money back and then some if you decide to offload on a bunch of ETBs. Shrouded Fable. This is kind of the ugly child of Scarlet Violet. Um, all of the special sets of SV area are really, really competitive and really, really strong. But I can't really say much the same for Shrouded Fable. I know that it wasn't really printed a lot. I think it might have been one of the least printed items within all of Scarlet Violet. But I think that there isn't much stock into this besides that. Pheasantipity, the Persian, Duskull, these are really cool and great arts, but I just think that there just really isn't much here at all, especially when you look at the rest of the special sets and then the rest of the items within the SV era. These PC ETBs and these ETBs and these bundle prices, I think are partially inflated given how short printed it was. Um, but I wouldn't be putting any stock into that really at all. I just think that there's just so many other places that you can be parking your money than a Shrouded Fable PC ETB. For example, I'd rather be personally buying 2 Twilight Masquerade ETBs relative to just one Shrouded Fable PC ETB. Um, Understanding that I'm holding for 3, 5+ years, but that's just me. I will be leaving Shrouded Fable maybe at the bottom of D tier, just because Obsidian Flames does have that Charizard attacks that may carry it way down the road. And I'm actually wrong. I mentioned that Shrouded Fable is the ugly child of the SV era. I think that Stellar Crown is actually. Um, the total set value is really, really low relative to the booster box price. And I know that there are some popular Pokemons here, such as the Squirtle and the Bulbasaur. But I think that the diversity and the extent for this set kind of really stops there. Nothing else really here kind of jumps at me. This Gulpin is really cool, this Metadite, but I just think that it has such a low set value relative to the booster box price that I wouldn't be putting any money to it at all. If you wanted to maybe pick up PSA 10 copies of the Squirrel and Bulbasaur, I think that that may be a pretty good opportunity. But in terms of kind of the sealed Pokemon aspect for it, 263 for a booster box or 89 for an ETB or 49.35 for a bundle, I wouldn't be really putting any thought into that at all. I just think that uh, putting money into here is going to be a tough sell way down the road. And I think I'd rather just be investing my money into really anything else within Scarlet Violet era. So because of that, I'd probably be putting it next to maybe in front of Shrouded Fable just because it has that Bulbasaur and that Squirtle. But I certainly wouldn't be encouraging anyone here to really be putting money into it at all. Surging Sparks, total set value of $1,000. Obviously, this is the Pokemon set that really blew up um, the current hype era for Pokemon. This Pikachu, I know there are a lot of mixed opinions about it, but this Latias, this Milotic, this Gold Pikachu, this Hydreigon, um, Latios, my boy Kevin Durant, I do think that this set is super undervalued, especially understanding that it has a over $1,000 total set value, and booster box prices are some of the lowest, if not the lowest, actually, relative to all booster boxes within um, Scarlet Violet era. I do think that this is a great opportunity to be investing a lot more money into this. I just think that with all these awesome chase cards, the chase card being one of the most popular Pokemon of all time, I do think that there's just a lot of opportunity here, not only within the booster boxes, but also maybe the ETBs as well with that Shinji Magneton art. I know that we're about a years away before it goes out of print, but I'd be using that time now to maybe accumulate more if you have the opportunity. At least within my area, I'm able to find booster boxes still as low as 200, 210. I bought one literally a few weeks ago for $190 for something that's barely above MSRP for a set that has a total value of over $1,000 with so many great arts here. I think that Surging Sparks, in my opinion, may be controversial for a lot of people, is an S tier investment. I just think that there's just so much here for how cheap of an entry point it is that I want to be accumulating more Surging Sparks booster boxes if I have the opportunity to do so. And to that point, if you have the opportunity to maybe get booster boxes over ETBs, that encourage you to do the same. But I don't think that you can go wrong here with kind of many of the products that are able to find with Surging Sparks. I just know that in a year's time when this goes out of print, I know that these prices will surge way up, no pun intended. And I do think that there'd be more people kicking themselves for not really taking more time to take a look at what's under the hood here with Surging Sparks. Prismatic Evolutions. Um, this is what some people call the best set of the Scarlet Violet era, and I can understand why people would say that. It has the evolution and SIRs. There's the potential for God packs. This Roaring Moon is awesome. It has an incredibly high total set value of just short of barely over $4,000, with PCETBs being within the 370 range with that EVP stamped promo inside. I know that it's one of the most submitted cards to PSA, but I do think that there's a lot of value here to Prismatic Evolutions, especially understanding that we're years away from going out of print, and there's so many opportunities here from until then where you're able to get product for really cheap, if not even at MSRP. I know that Sam's Club is about to release a surprise box booster bundle set. I do think that Prismatic Evolutions is something that I am putting a lot of stock into. I think booster bundle prices at $66 relative to where how expensive this set is with all these amazing arts, with the potential for God packs, for this being one of the most popular sets, if not the most popular set in modern Pokemon history, that has a lot of broad appeal to so many people. I do think that Prismatic Evolutions is something that I'm going to be putting a lot more stock, a bunch of money into this year. And I do think that people here are maybe not necessarily undervaluing Prismatic Evolutions. I think that's just a silly notion to say that people are undervaluing it. But understanding that Scarlet and Violet set right now, I mean, 151 booster bundle prices are $117, just short of $120, and my confidence that it'll go to 150, 160 by the end of this year. I think in 2 years' time, if you're able to get Prismatic Evolutions booster bundles for 45, 50, $55, I would very much believe that it will be near the same price as 151 or Paldean Fates at 110, $120 this time next year, if not in a year and a half from now, or maybe 2 years from now. I just think that it would be silly for me to not put a lot more time or money, a lot more capital into Prismatic Evolutions. I certainly already have a lot in it right now, but I certainly want to be putting a lot more. I just think that there's so much here for Prismatic Evolutions. Um, and because of that, I will be putting it at the top of the S tier. I just think that there's just so much here for how cheap and affordable things are Um, Journey Together. I don't hate Journey Together. I think that the art here is amazing. I certainly love it a lot. And I know that there's a lot of people that have really mixed opinions here. Whale Lord, probably my favorite card from the entire set. That's just a beautiful art. But I know that the general sentiment across many folks is it's not worth their time. It has a really low total value, total set value, and booster boxes price. The enhanced is 234 and the non-enhanced is 245. And this will be printed for quite a while. I do believe that these booster box prices will go down because I imagine that there is going to be a reprint incoming, much like how Surging Sparks kind of got that reprint treatment towards the tail end of 2025. I can imagine that Journey Together will get something very similar. And it being such a low set value with um, a semi-expensive or yeah, semi-expensive booster box price, I don't think that I would be encouraging a lot of people here to be putting a lot of stock into this. And for that, I'd probably be putting it maybe here, situated between Temporal and Scarlet Violet base. Actually, if anything, I'll probably be putting it behind Scarlet Violet base, just because I Scarlet Violet base is out of print. It has that going for it. Destined Rivals. Destined Rivals is the evolving skies, as people say, of this current era. And at this time of February 2026, booster box prices have gone up a tremendous amount. People are really betting on the fact that there may not ever be another reprint for Destined Rivals. Um, I think $570 for a booster box for a set that only came out not even a year ago is insane. I know that the total set value is really heavy, and there's a lot of great art here that kind of supports that. This Mewtwo, Garchomp, the Moltres is amazing. This Nidoking is awesome. The Psyduck, and then just all of these other IRs and full arts. I think there's a lot going on for Destined Rivals. But in the same way that I believe that Journey Together is going to get a reprint of sorts sometime this year, I would be foolish to not really be putting that same level of attention with that same school of thought in terms of investing into Destined Rivals. Um, I certainly wouldn't be investing for $570, and I already have a few boxes if they end up not reprinting more, and this 570 skyrockets up to $1,000, and I'll eat my own words there. But at 570 right now, understanding that this set isn't even 8 months old yet or 9 months old yet, and it's $570. I just don't have a lot of confidence in really be putting $570 into this. It wouldn't surprise me if this hit $600 within the next few weeks, just because of all the fear that Destined Rivals won't get reprinted. Um, and so because of that, I'd probably be putting it towards maybe the tail end of um, the A tier. Actually, I'll probably put it at the beginning of B tier. Um, I just certainly don't have a lot of confidence in me putting this much money into it. But my understanding is that with the current market conditions, if they reprinted a bunch tomorrow, this 570 will may drop to $500 and then it'll pick back up. Actually, to that point, I'll probably be moving this maybe closer to A tier. I'll definitely put it in A tier. I just don't think that it beats out these other few, Paldea and Fates, Paldea Evolved, Twilight Masquerade, understanding that it will still be reprinted well into 2027. Um, yeah. And lastly, Black Bolt and White Flare. I'll be discussing these two as separate sets, just because I know that there's a lot of sentiment positively for Black Bolt with this Zekrom or the Seismitoad, or this Haxorus or Ends Plan. A lot of the great arts here, a lot of great arts here, and I can understand why there are folks that prefer Black Bolt. 179 for PCDB that may not get reprinted or restocked, I think is a very, very fair competitive price for the current total set value. I think ETB prices at $84 are fair as well, but I'd certainly be waiting just because I imagine that there will be a reprint for Black Bolt. I would be very surprised if they don't get ETB reprints. And the same thing with the bundles. I do think that Black Bolt is a great set. And my understanding also here is that in 5 years' times, the kids that grew up playing Black White and Black White 2 certainly may be taking a look at this generation, this set, as they start growing up and getting disposable income. So because of that, I think Black Bolt may be falling here a little higher than Destined Rivals, just because I do think that this 179 PC ETB price is a very fairly competitive price for everything that you are getting here within the set with the current total set value. And then lastly, White Flare. Um, very similar thought as to Black Bolt. It just happens to have a lower total value, but also a lower priced PC ETB at $150. I certainly want to be picking up Black Bolt and White Flare ETBs if I have the opportunity to do so. Um, but I certainly also will be waiting for those ETB preprints. And for that, I'll probably be putting White Flare, maybe just behind Black Bolt, but ahead of Destined Rivals. So taking a look here, I certainly plan on putting a lot more money or stock into Prismatic, 151 at fair prices, and Surging Sparks booster bundles. And then for many of these other items here, I certainly would not be putting a lot of stock or thought here into anything within the B tier, C, or D tier, just because I do think that there's so many better sets within the Scarlet Violet era that I certainly want to be prioritizing my money into. Destined Rivals, I'll be keeping a close eye on, and if they end up not putting reprinting here within the next few months, then I'll evaluate my position here. But I certainly do think that I will be trying to at least buy or accumulate some product here, PC ETBs, ETBs, or booster bundles for S and A tier at competitive prices sometime throughout these next few months and well into the end of the year. That kind of covers my current thoughts as to Scarlet Violet era, at least for February of 2026. I may revisit this topic here in a few months to see how the current market conditions are doing. But I do hope that this was well informing for many folks here. I'm certainly not breaking any news with kind of the content that I'm discerning, but I do think that there's many opportunities as to how you approach your investing opportunities here for Scarlet Violet, especially as we're going into Mega Evolution, the Mega Break block. Yeah, if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Please let me know your thoughts as to some of the things I discussed here, and I'll be seeing you guys in the next video. Thanks so much.